floor of the church, not the building.
It's a warm spring evening in Louisiana, and parishioners are gathering to worship at Life Tabernacle Church just outside Baton Rouge. The church's head pastor, Tony Spell, welcomes his congregants.
We are the Good Samaritans, the good, faithful members of this church.
But in recent days, Pastor Spell has come under fire, standing in defiance of Louisiana's stay-at-home order by holding services.
We continue to worship and practice our First Amendment rights.
This past Sunday, Pastor Spell says more than 1,200 people gathered at his church. Some congregants were even bussed in.
Let me just tell you, when the day of Pentecost was fully come.
His sermon was live streamed and recorded by Central City News.
And there were no racial divisions. There was no racial hatred.
But with the number of COVID-19 cases in Louisiana skyrocketing, some in the neighborhood were furious.
We have a right too, baby. Y'all need to shut that church down.
The Central Police Department says Spell is in violation of the state order.
Mr. Spell has chosen to embarrass us for his own self-promotion.
We're here today because of violations of the governor's emergency order.
Yesterday morning, Spell was arrested. Hours later, he was right back at it, holding service again.
To my church and to the 9,800 people who come through my doors, do not be intimidated to come to this building because of fear that has been put in you.
The number of COVID-19 cases in our country continues to soar. About 3 out of 4 Americans are under restrictions to stay home. The president has extended nationwide social distancing guidelines through April 30th. And at yesterday's coronavirus task force briefing, Dr. Anthony Fauci yet again stressed the administration's main message, social distancing.
People are suffering, people are dying. It's inconvenient from a societal standpoint, from an economic standpoint to go through this. But this is going to be the answer to our problems.
But that hasn't stopped some people from going to crowded places and ignoring the distancing rule, forcing local and state governments to crack down.
Please stand at least 6 feet apart.
Issuing fines, breaking up parties, and conducting highway patrols. In Rhode Island, they're even checking license plates to warn people from out of state to quarantine. And in some cases, they've made arrests.
No turning back.
This live stream video posted to YouTube shows hundreds of people packed inside the River at Tampa Bay Church, a megachurch in Florida, last Sunday.
People are going totally crazy, and I'm telling you right now, this thing, we got to pray that God pull us out of this thing quickly.
Pastor Rodney Howard Brown held services despite a ban on non-essential businesses, and the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office took action.
His reckless disregard for human life put hundreds of people in his congregation at risk and thousands of residents who may interact with them this week in danger.
The pastor was arrested and charged. Today, he announced he will be shutting down the church this Sunday. His attorney, Matt Stavers, says the county's emergency order is unconstitutional.
We will be filing a lawsuit against not only the sheriff, but also this executive order, because it has so many exceptions, it looks like Swiss cheese. Our constitutional rights don't disappear in the time of a virus or crisis or any other emergency that we have. We don't just simply erase our Constitution.
This is a complicated issue for a lot of people. For people of faith, religious services aren't a luxury. In many states, liquor stores are open. And many people of faith look at that and they say, well, if liquor stores are considered essential services, certainly religious services for a lot of people are essential.
We have to remember that houses of worship are typically crowded. People are very close together. There's a lot of talking, singing, close contact, handshaking, hugging, kissing. Those are all things that need to be avoided now.
Case studies show religious gatherings in several countries have been the source of outbreaks before, not just in the U.S. The concern for large gatherings stems from how easily COVID-19 spreads. Back in early March, a choir from Washington state held a practice even as the state was grappling with infections and deaths at a Seattle area nursing home.
We were aware that it was spreading, but we didn't know how fast.
The choir went ahead with its weekly rehearsal and took extra precautions. Only about half the choir showed up.
We said that anyone that had any kind of pre-existing conditions or even the sniffles should not come to this rehearsal. Nobody shook hands, nobody hugged.
We set up folding chairs for our rehearsals with 3 times the distance between chairs as we normally have.
Everything seemed fine until 3 days later.
I just had a fever and body aches, and I lost my sense of taste and smell.
I got a fever of 101.6, and my husband got a fever.
Now, 3 weeks later, 45 members of the choir have been diagnosed with COVID-19 or became ill with symptoms. At least 3 have been hospitalized. 2 are dead. The choir director says even when bigger groups think they're doing everything right, there is still a danger.
The precautions that we took and the guidelines that we followed were not enough.
And the theories about why so many people got sick from that one choir practice involve the possibility that there was a super spreader. The other theory is that the virus can spread more than 6 feet with the respiratory droplets that are projected in the course of singing. The third theory is that someone or multiple people could have been there and been completely asymptomatic, not known that they were infected with coronavirus.
To demonstrate how one gathering could have a massive impact, a company called Tectonics released this graphic illustration. It tracks the cell phone data footprint of a single beach in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, during 2 weeks of spring break last month. It then shows how those cell phones move as people traveled home, lighting up in locations all over the country, revealing just how easy wide dispersal could be during a pandemic. So far, Pastor Tony Spell says there's been no indication any of his congregants are ill.
I don't know anybody that has flu symptoms connected with anyone in our church.
They've been doing temperature checks at the door before service. But health experts say that's not enough.
Flattening the curve, to be clear, is about actions that we can take that benefit other people. In some ways, it's the most spiritual and the most faith-based act that someone can do.
There is an ancient African proverb, when you pray, move your feet. The prayer of many doctors and nurses across America tonight to people of all faiths. Worship from home.
Hi everyone, George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.